Boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. WBC lightweight champion Caroline Dubois took to her social media and said, "The only reason Alicia Baumgardner would rather jump up 3 weight classes to fight Claressa Shields is because it's a win-win. If she gets her ass handed to her, which she would, she can always say, well, I dared to be great, but I was just too small. Lose against me, and there's no excuse."
You know what it might also be, Caroline? That Claressa Shields is established and Claressa Shields is a name, whereas you are but one champion in a division where there are 4 reigning champions. Jay Morris, friend of the channel, said, "You didn't want to fight Beatrice. Will you now fight Elif Turan? That's a champion in your division. Maybe if you unify, you'll make yourself more attractive for a big fight."
Same thing I was thinking.
Two-Tone the Superstar said, so let me get this straight. Caroline Dubois, Elif Turan are both undefeated champions at 135 with a unification right there, but the noise is aimed at Alicia Baumgardner, who's a weight class below. Oh, now it makes sense.
It's clout chasing is what it is. I wouldn't mind it so much that Caroline is calling out Alicia if Caroline weren't such a picky eater. She's very selective about who she wants to call out, demanding a Baumgardner fight as if she's done anything to earn it. Look, Alicia could look at you just as easily as she could look at Stephanie Han, Elif Turan.
Aside from bumping her gums, Caroline has done very little to set herself apart from the other champions at her own weight. Caroline responded by saying, "Don't you worry, I will be unifying in my next fight."
Now we're getting somewhere.
It really helps the situation that 3 of the 4 champions at this weight all box on the same side of the street. Caroline, Terry, Stephanie are all with MVP.
Elif Turan is with Matchroom.
Matchroom.
And she has a fight coming up, so it's definitely not Elif Turan that Caroline is going to be fighting. It's going to come down to either Terry Harper or Stephanie Han. And for what it's worth, I think Caroline can beat either one. Alicia Baumgardner chimed in, responding to Two-Tone the Superstar's tweet about how maybe Caroline should focus on unifying instead of targeting the big fish. Alicia said, "I'll wait," to which Caroline responded, "Ha ha, you absolute wet wipe. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen."
The good thing is that this fight is fast becoming a hot-button topic with people on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, and if you're a fighter, that's what you want. So it feels like it's been a long time since young Alicia Baumgardner was in a super fight, whereas Caroline Dubois has never even been in one. This is fast becoming the next super fight.
And because it features fighters from both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, that amplifies its reach, makes it bigger. The Brits are going to back Caroline, the Americans are going to back Alicia.
It's a good thing.
The bad thing is, it's not going to happen when Caroline wants it to happen on her time. Alicia is the more established fighter of the two, and while she may be on the verge of moving up to 135, it'll be on her own time and on her own terms, not Caroline. So the most that Caroline can do is get out there and perform
While she waits.
She's also been vocal about a Terry Harper fight. Terry Harper, who holds the WBO title in the women's lightweight division, who would service as a common opponent between Caroline and Alicia. We know some years and some fights ago, Alicia knocked her out. If Caroline shares the ring with that same Terry Harper, you better do the same. You better knock her out for as much as you've been talking.
Your performance has to be akin to Alicia's a few years ago. Otherwise, you can shut the fuck up.
Shut right the fuck up.
Now, if it's Stephanie Han that Caroline is fighting, that is a little bit different, but the expectation is still there that you're the most vocal of all the champions in the lightweight division. You're the one that likes to talk the most, often acting as an attack dog for Claressa Shields when it comes to Alicia Baumgardner.
Seemingly interjecting herself into what is their rift, their beef. You will notice that of the 4 champions at 135, there's only one waiting for Alicia Baumgardner to move up. The rest of them are taking care of business, not minding her. She'll move up when she moves up.
Whereas Caroline may as well be at the port authority, how long she's waiting.
If she is unifying titles in her next fight like she says, that's what she needs to be doing. But not only that, she needs to perform. In men's cruiserweight news, you might have heard late yesterday that IBF and Ring Magazine cruiserweight champion Jai Opetaia has crossed over from Matchroom over to Zuffa Tasman Fighters, who co-promotes him.
They co-promoted him alongside Matchroom. Now they're co-promoting him alongside Zuffa, said Jai Opetaia. Tasman Fighters and Zuffa Boxing announce a promotional partnership. Australia to the United States. Unified Ring Magazine and IBF Cruiserweight World Champion Jai Opetaia has today announced a major new promotional partnership between Tasman and Zuffa, marking a significant step forward in his global career and international expansion. The partnership brings together Opetaia's longtime Australian promoters, Tasman Fighters, with Zuffa, as the reigning world champion targets the biggest fights on the world stage, particularly in the United States. Michael Francis, CEO of Tasman, said the alliance represents a pivotal moment not only for Opetaia but for Australian boxing as a whole. This is an incredibly exciting partnership for everyone involved, Francis said. Jai Opetaia is already a world champion, but we firmly believe he is going to establish himself as a major name in the United States and beyond. This partnership puts him exactly where he belongs, on the biggest platforms against the biggest opponents.
The biggest platforms? DAZN wasn't big enough?
It's not bigger than Paramount Plus. DAZN hosts approximately 20 million subscribers, whereas Paramount has 79 million. So it is, by and large, a bigger platform that reaches more people than DAZN does. Francis added that Opetaia is setting the standard for Australian fighters on the world stage. Jai is leading the way for the Aussies right now. He's shown what's possible with hard work, discipline, and belief. And this is only the beginning. There are more developments ahead, and we're extremely confident about what the future holds. Opetaia, widely regarded as one of the most dangerous and exciting fighters in boxing, said he's energized by the opportunity and focused on delivering memorable performances. It's exciting times, and I'm pumped for the future.
Jai Opetaia crossing over to Zuffa was not on my bingo card. I had heard that he entered free agency and he wasn't with Matchroom anymore, but this was the last thing I expected.
I can't wait to get these big fights made, to fight in the USA and put on a show for the fight fans. This is where I want to be, and I'm ready to prove myself on the biggest stage. Further details regarding Opetaia's next fight are expected to be announced imminently.
So why would Jai Opetaia decide to go to Zuffa, a fledgling promotion that's new to the sport, when he was already with Matchroom? What is it that he thinks Zuffa can do for him that Matchroom could not? Jai Opetaia signed to Matchroom in mid-2023, so he was with the promotion for a little over 2 years, 2.5. And the whole time he was there, they were unable to get him other champions, other belts, unification matches. Maybe he feels something needs to change. There's also the bit about making it in America, even though by now Matchroom is well known among American boxing fans. You know who else is well known?
Oh.
Dana White.
Hey, what's up everyone, it's Jai Opetaia. So I'm with Zuffa Boxing now, so pumped for the future. Exciting times, man. Let's get these big fights over the line. Unification, undisputed soon. Let's go.
Jai's official word on the migration left a lot of people confused because he mentioned the big fights and unifications undisputed, where Zuffa is said to not be working the alphabet organizations. They have a belt of their own.
Quentin D. Lilly, friend of the channel, asked, how exactly is that supposed to happen if Zuffa boxers don't want to deal with sanctioning bodies? Horrible decision from Jai.
We don't know that yet, Quentin. We have to see how it plays out, but I'd wager that to get an unbeaten champion to cross over to Zuffa, they would have had to pay out something substantial, more than, say, they gave Rayo or Sergey Boachuk or Alexander Vozdik, Charles Martin, F.A. Ajagba, to get an unbeaten champion who could easily re-sign to Matchroom. To sign to Zuffa, you would have had to pay out something substantial, which begs questions about Zuffa's pay scale.
All these guys can't be getting paid the same, and they can't be kicking out peanuts on the dollar over there if you manage to pick up Jai Opetaia.
Some guys have got to be getting more money than others, and this arrangement between Tasman and Zuffa, I don't think it begins and ends with just Jai Opetaia. It might be that Tasman will give Zuffa access to some of their fighters.
They do need the bodies.
And those fighters could do with some American exposure. I wouldn't be surprised if Jai isn't the only one of Tasman's fighters we see on Zuffa.
And what about unifications? What about Jai Opetaia talking about undisputed? How the fuck is that supposed to happen?
I really don't know. I don't presume to have that answer because everything we've heard about Zuffa indicates that they wouldn't be working with the alphabets. So how is Jai bringing himself closer to unification matches by going over there?
The thing is, Jai Opetaia wasn't close to unifying titles with anybody anyway because they don't want to unify with him. So whether he's with Matchroom or he's with Zuffa,
Zerto didn't want any parts of him, and I don't think David Benavidez is going to want any parts of him either. If he wins and he becomes a unified champion.
what about Noel Michaelian?
I would keep an eye on Noel Michaelian, if for no other reason than Noel, WBC champion, doesn't make that much money anyway. If they manage to get the IBF champion to cross over to Zuffa, could they also get the WBC champion to do that?
Maybe.
May seem a little bit far-fetched, because this is the same Noel Michaelian who spent the better portion of a year avoiding Canada's own Ryan Rozicki. He didn't want no parts of that guy, but he's gonna want parts of Jai.
For the right price, he might. Like I said, this guy don't make no money as it is, even as WBC champion. What if Zuffa offered him something substantial to join their ranks? You never know. There is a lot that is immaterial right now and in the air. The last thing I expected was that a reigning champion would cross over to Zuffa.
What I was expecting was a lot of mid-tier fighters, gatekeepers, and familiar faces to wash up on those shores. I didn't expect anybody unbeaten all in their prime with a belt to go over there.
How are they gonna use him?
Right now, Zuffa needs familiarity more than anything. As a fledgling promotion, they can't afford to be the odd man out when there are so many trusted brands already out there. Where Jai Opetaia fits into that picture is maybe they will build cards around him. They'll have their Zuffa fighters boxing for the Zuffa belt.
On his undercards.
He will be the cherry on top, so to speak, and they will build cards around him.
That's one way they might do it.
Another way they might do it is Jai might end up dropping the IBF title because if nothing else, he still has the Ring Magazine title, which is connected to Turkey who's connected to Zuffa. Without the IBF title, Jai Opetaia is still a champion, Ring Magazine and lineal champion to be exact. What a lot of people like to characterize as the true champion at a given weight. So maybe he drops the IBF title. That's another way it could happen. It's all fresh and immaterial. There's a lot we don't know.
Dana White won. Eddie Hearn zip.
Eddie Hearn lost Jai Opetaia to Dana White. That's the way it happened. We know in the background of all of this, Eddie Hearn has been very vocal about how he wants to take Dana White and Zuffa on, except that he wasn't always that way.
When all these talks about Zuffa first ramped up, Eddie was very cordial and respectful of Dana White. Then out of the clear blue sky, he became hyper-competitive.
You can't have forgotten because it wasn't that long ago. We're talking about weeks, months at the most. And Eddie was very respectful of Dana in the beginning. Then out of nowhere, he gets real competitive, real aggressive. Is it because he knew that Jai would be leaving him for Dana?
Oh, shit.
That the cue ball from UFC just poached one of your flagship fighters, one of your star fighters, one of the unbeaten ones. Won't be long before we get those answers, before one of the boxing scribes catch up to Eddie and ask him, what the fuck happened? How did you lose Jai to Dana White?
Things are getting competitive, and perhaps they need to, because the people in boxing have become too lax, too complacent. Dana White's presence may light a fire under their ass. You need to work harder.
Shit's about to get real.
Gravity of the situation hasn't quite settled in for all of you, because I'm smarter and faster.
Fuck harder.
Everybody in regular boxing might have felt safe telling themselves that Zuffa's gonna pay fighters peanuts on a dollar, so nobody's gonna go over there, and they're not worried about sanctioning bodies, they don't want to work with them.
This changes things. A champion going over there?
Creates an environment where hanging on to the fighters they have may become more expensive because Zuffa does have deep pockets. And if they are poaching fighters, champions even,
You're gonna have to pay to play.
the inaugural Zuffa card has been unveiled. The prelim card, the main card, and at first, it didn't look like much. You've got Callum Walsh in the main event.
Another familiar face in Carlos Ocampo. We've seen him in there with Errol Spence Jr. We've seen him in there with Tim Kazoo. Another familiar face in Julian Rodriguez.
Another familiar face in Floyd Diaz, otherwise known as Cash Flow Diaz, and Robert Merriweather.
Now, these are not big names, not necessarily established, Not yet.
But the old saying goes that Rome wasn't built in a day, so why would any of you expect Zuffa to build their empire in that same time frame? It's really not how you start, it's how you finish. And if these seem like humble beginnings, there's no telling what we're going to see in the next few weeks, months, but they're off to a good start because they already have 3 shows planned.
From January into February, and they already threw us a curveball with this Opetaia news. What other familiar faces, what other champions might wash up on those shores? We don't know.
But I've been beating the drum for some days and weeks now that Zuffa has something that is invaluable to the boxers that may attract them, irrespective of Dana White's reputation and how many people want to drag his name in the mud.
With their token performative activism. Oh, the Ali Act!
Won't somebody please think about the boxers?
Well, Oscar De La Hoya gets taken to court by yet another one of his fighters for what is it? The second or the third time?
What is it that Dana has? What is it that you're talking about?
Fight dates. He's got fight dates and he's got TV money. Something that the PBC don't have, something that Top Rank doesn't have, right now something that Golden Boy doesn't have, since they're between broadcasters. What attracts fighters to a promotion, what can, are fight dates and TV money, because that's the lifeblood of the sport.
Without that, you're basically talking about the chicken gizzard circuit.
Without that, what are you dealing with? Small hall shows? Fight dates and TV money are enough to funnel fighters to Zuffa, if for no other reason than people tend to forget this is somebody's job. This is how somebody pays their Con Ed bill, their car note.
Their mortgage.
This is how somebody buys their groceries, pays their cell phone bill, their internet bill. This is somebody's line of work.
Understand?
Boxing fans tend to think of boxing in a very two-dimensional space, as if these fighters are characters in a video game. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, these are real people with real lives and they have real bills, so they can't wait around for a Top Rank to sort them out, or a PBC, or a Golden Boy. They don't have the fight dates, the resources. But who does?
Zuffa.
You talk all this fucking shit about how Dana White doesn't let his fighters have brand deals or sponsors. Maybe he doesn't, but most boxers don't have brand deals or sponsors anyway. Most boxers don't have a bunch of patches on their trunks. So if the rationale is, don't go to Zuffa, because if you do, you may not be able to have sponsors, or you may not have a brand deal. Most of these guys don't have brand deals anyway, buddy.
Can't lose something you don't have.
What Zuffa is providing is a subsidized sort of boxing to where you don't have to worry about sanctioning fees, you don't have to worry about managerial fees. It's all baked in.
You don't have to wait by the phone and wonder when you're going to fight again and what you're going to make when you do. They're providing structure, something that boxing doesn't always provide, and something that some people in boxing don't want.
The ones who benefit from the chaos, and a lot of the time, it's not the boxers. So like I've been saying, I'm going to give Zuffa a chance, because Zuffa could turn out to be a good thing for some of the fighters, depending on who they are.
I'm excited.